Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Space Marine 2 video. In today's guide, I want to share how amazing the Vanguard class is. In my opinion, Vanguard is all about mobility, finesse, and a lot of dodging and parrying. With the right build perks on the class and his weapons, Vanguard can solo almost everything in the game. It gets even better in team composition, and there are instances wherein I feel invincible and like I'm carrying the whole team on my back with my Vanguard. Mind you, I'm not bragging here, but that's just how the class makes you feel. Also, playing as a Vanguard lets you master your melee and pistol. The class is not tactical, it has a damage boost, and you will always rely on your primary to kill enemies. With Vanguard, you will learn how and when to use each weapon, and this is why I think this class is fun to play with, as when you have mastered all these things, then you will be unstoppable with the Vanguard class or any other class that you play in the game. Finally, one of the main reasons I love playing Vanguard is because it's one of the classes in the game that have the best looking cosmetics. I've grinded Operation content to unlock this drip as well as learn how to play the Vanguard class, and honestly, all that effort is worth it because it's really fun to play this class. Okay, now let me share with you the final build I am using for Ruthless difficulty and explain to you why I chose each perk. First, let's discuss the class perk that I am currently using. For the core perks, I have Upper Hand, Duelist, and the Hone Reaction perk. Vanguard has 2 armor segment, and he is not like Bulwark or Heavy that can restore health easily. Most of his survivability relies on players' skill to evade and parry, and it would be bad just to spam melee attacks that will only reduce the ranged attack of enemies. You can increase your melee damage against Majoris with this perk, but I strongly recommend the third one as it gives you the knockback resistance, which saves me a couple of times in fights wherein tons of enemies are swarming our team. For the second core perk, you can choose to have Conviction, but once you have mastered the art of parry, this perk will be valuable to your Vanguard. And finally, the last core perk is very handy, especially against Terminus fights. There are also instances wherein I purposely lower my health to 50% because the perfect dodge window is so good and it adds style points to awesome gameplay. It's not advisable, but I really like the perk and it's very useful in swarm fights and Terminus stages. For the team perk, I have the Inner Fire paired with the combat readiness so that my grapple hook will be available most of the time. The grapple hook is used for mobility and closing into ranged targets easily. It can also be used to get out of sticky situations, and it can also provide a damage boost with the help of the Tip of the Spear perk paired with the Shockwave perk. Enemies within 5 meters will get damaged by your diving kick, and every single one of them will get the damage debuff from the Tip of the Spear perk. Finally, it's also a good thing to have the Upper Hand perk to negate all disruptive attacks while casting your grapple hook. And for the signature perk, I have the Emperor's Blessing as a safety net. This also saved me a couple of times in Terminus fights, especially against those pesky neurothropes. If you think you don't need any safety net, then you can always go with the first signature perk called Tactical Prowess. Gives you 1 full charge after performing an execution with your grapple hook. You will have insane mobility with this perk, but I don't usually use it as there are instances wherein I don't need it. Grapple hook does not work against flying units, and I hope that the developers change it in the future, especially since this tech can buff our range damage. The grapple hook is broken in PvP, but it's pretty basic in PvE. Missions in my opinion. Another thing that is laughable in the Vanguard perk tree right now is the Adrenaline Rush that grants 1% health per finisher. This can be good if the finisher applies to all enemies and the health restore will be 10%, but right now it's not worth the slot as it will give your measly health recovery, not enough to survive a horde of ruthless enemies. Finally, let's talk about weapon choices. If you are playing Vanguard, then you will know the value of pistols in this game. The Ophelian Liberation Pistols is a precise gun perfect for dealing damage against Terminus units. In fact, this is the weapon I usually use in fighting against neurothropes and other flying units in Ruthless difficulty right now. The gun does deal decent damage and especially helpful when you run out of ammunition in your primary gun. In my playstyle, I prefer to have more ammunition capacity for this pistol with tons of headshot perks as I usually run solo missions right now, but you can always choose to have the one that gives more accuracy to the gun. For the melee weapon, I can't really recommend the best, and I will just say that you can choose whatever melee you would like to play with your Vanguard class. The knife is more for a single target, and it's cool to see Vanguard wielding the combat knife. On the other hand, the chainsword is better against a crowd of enemies, and in fact, I can recommend using this melee weapon for those players who are still mastering dodging and parrying in the game. The melee has good knockback moves to provide a breathing room and kill enemies. I also have maxed out all my primary guns for my Vanguard, and based on experience, it depends on how you want to play your Vanguard class. The Bolter Carbine, especially the Instigator version, is good in boss fights as they are precise and they provide a decent range for the player to deal damage, while the Melta Rifle is godlike in close quarter combat, and this is the primary weapon I am currently using right now, as I like the gameplay wherein I dodge, parry, and kill enemies with one huge shot from the melter rifle. In swarm fights, melter rifle also excels because of the huge area of effect attack, and it can clear hordes easily. But as I have said, it depends on what type of playstyle would you want for your Vanguard. If you prefer the conservative approach, killing major threats first and being more tactical in your gameplay, then you can use the bolter carbine weapons. But if you just don't care and will dive into any confrontation because you are already confident with your dodge and parry, then the melter rifle is the right one for you. Now, the rest of the video showcases a few clips on how insane Vanguard class is even in solo plays. Rest assured that the build I have shown for Vanguard class is an absolute beast and could be considered an invincible build for the class. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you again in our next video. Squad Leader signing off.
After my bombardments, nothing will escape this crew once it catches fire. Rebel launcher set. Whoop, hope, and loop. Phoenix burning, incoming. Into the more of death. Cultivate. Pointing. Giving them a shot. Stay there, Parry. The Cadians are running out of time. How close are you to the Promethean facility? You are making good time. Go into more deep.
Into the fray! Crush that evil! Going back to the abyss! Everyone down! Into the grave! That is all! Ha! Did the enemy run out of rippers?